Aloha and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Marilyn, the baby boomer booktuber, and today I have a confession to make. This is the first time that my erstwhile partner, Jackson, is not in the back of the camera filming or editing. So I'm attempting to do this all by myself, or mostly by myself. So please be patient with me if it doesn't come out perfectly. But anyway, I think it's time for me, after a year and a half, to do my own videos. So today I am attempting to do a TBR mixed with a readathon at the same time. So I hope this goes well. The readathon means a lot to me, and I want to thank Kate Howe for making this happen, and all her hosts. It's called the Library Lover Readathon. And this year, her title is Choose Your Own Adventure. And I watched quite a few of the other booktubers say, what their prompts are. And of course, I'm not going to do all of the prompts, but I'm trying to fit the books that I am going to read in February into some of these prompts. So it's going to be a little tricky. The first thing I wanted to do was to say that February hasn't been a great reading month so far. It's starting to heat up, but I've had a lot of anxiety about a lot of things. Right now I'm editing my memoir, and when you edit a memoir, you go from the end and then you go back to the beginning. You get all of these traumas that you went through, and you have to experience them again. So that was one thing. And then I had the passport fiasco, as everybody knows. I'm not going to go back into that. But things are, and also I'm planning a trip. And when you live in Hawaii, every place that you go to is far away. And I'm going with my daughter to France in April. My son works for an airline, so, if not now, when? So let's get started. First, I wanted to talk about the buddy reads that I'm going to do this month. And I have 3 of them. And the first one is for the Irish Readathon in March. And my son was born March 17th on St. Patrick's Day. So I think I have a little Irish blood. At least everybody thought my father did, even though he was Puerto Rican, because he had blue eyes and red hair. Anyway, we finished Alba from Seriela, a fellow Boricua, which means Puerto Rican, lives in Puerto Rico, and we read the first 2 of the trilogy of Edna O'Brien's Country Girls. And we're going to read, I'm so excited, we're going to read Girls in Their Married Bliss, which means girls not in their married bliss. What I found out about Edna O'Brien is that this was very close to her own life, this book. And she wrote a memoir, I'm not sure when, called Country Girl, where I think she goes into that. But everyone says that this is, even though I don't like the word autofiction, she took most of this from her own life. And she was Kate, I'm pretty sure. I don't know who the other girl was. But anyway, so that's my first buddy read. Then, of course, it's March Mystery Madness, and mysteries have always been very important to me in my life, my reading life, because they help me escape from anything I was going through. And I have 2 buddy reads, and the first buddy read is with Kevi, and we're going to read The Wall by Mary Roberts Rinehart, who's an American of the Golden Age, which I love, and I love she's a woman. And all I'll say about it is that small-town sheriff Russell Shand had more suspects than he needed for this grisly murder. Everyone at the vacation resort had a powerful motive for wanting Juliet dead. And that's all I'll say about it. And so that's my second buddy read. And the third I'm really excited about because I've never read this Agatha Christie book. And this is my first buddy read with Janelle from Too Fond of Books. And it's Taken at the Flood. I had the hardest time getting this book. And it didn't have a wonderful write-up or reviews, but it sounds good to me. It says, Wamsley Vale, to all appearances, it was just another sleepy English town shaken up by a series of bizarre coincidences, or were they? So me and Janelle are going to read this, and I'm excited, and I'm excited for reading my first buddy read with Cathy as well. So those are my 3 buddy reads. Now for the library lovers readathon. I wanted to show one book, a quintessential book, a library book, which is really a library book. It's from the library from Kihei, Maui, and it's Mrs. Buncle's book. So it's a book about a book, a library book about a book. Well, never mind. Anyway, it's very old. It's been read by a lot of people. It has no cover except purple. There's not even a title on the top. So it's like, it was, this was printed in 1980, and it's by D.E. Stevenson. And to be honest, I haven't really enjoyed all of her books, but this is supposed to be a book that I'm going to enjoy. So I'm looking forward to it. It's about Miss Buncle, who writes a book about the people in her village. And I can relate to that because I wrote a book about people that I know, and sometimes it doesn't work out that well. People will tell you that didn't happen, even though they were born like 12 years after you were, and they weren't around to know if it really happened. But that's the thing. Those are the things that happen to people who write truthful memoirs. So, and this is just a novel that is supposed to be funny. But I wanted to show you the what I call a library book that's very old and that sometimes we get and we still enjoy them. Well, back to the readathon. So there were a lot of hosts, like I said before, and one of them was Tiffany at Beautiful Minutia. And if you haven't, tried her channel, please do, because she's wonderful. So, of course, I didn't do all her prompts, but I was very intrigued that she did travel prompts, because travel, as I said in my last video, was a very important genre to me, because I always wanted to get out of my little Brooklyn neighborhood. So I would read every travel book. And so a book that involves travel or a journey. So for this, I picked up 36 Views of Mount Fuji by Cathy Davidson. I've had this on my shelf for like forever, and I've never gotten around to read it. And it's about a journey. And so one of her prompts was a book that involves travel or a journey. So one of the reasons I didn't read this is because I don't like the cover. I can barely read the title. It's very orange. And this was written, in, like I said, in 1980. So what is it about? I can really relate to what it's about. In 1980, Cathy Davidson traveled to Japan to teach English at a leading all-women's university. It was the first of many journeys and the beginning of a deep and abiding fascination. In this extraordinary book, Davidson depicts a series of intimate moments and small epiphanies that together make up a panoramic view of Japan. I was also a teacher in Japan in 1990, so I really want to read it to see if her experiences were similar to mine, though I think she taught in Tokyo, but I'm not sure. Mount Fuji is not in where I was in Kobe, but when you go to Japan, when you fly to Japan, sometimes the pilot will say, go to the left, it's Fuji-san, Mount Fuji. Okay, so that's the book that I want to read, and how it also fits in the prompt of libraries, because I got this from a library sale, and that's similar to a library. Okay, so that's 36 Views of Mount Fuji. Okay, so her other prompt was a book that takes place in a different country than your own. And most of these books fit that prompt, so I won't go into that except to show you all the books. Then we get to Miss Richards Reads, who's a new she's a new channel to me, though I'm subscribed. I haven't really watched that many of her videos, but her theme is Cozy Companions, and a book that I'm very much into right now and enjoying it very thoroughly is Dumb Witness by Agatha Christie. And I have to say that I think I read this a half a century ago or more. It sounds like a lot when you say a half a century, but it's true. And what she does is she goes into the voice of the dog, which I find, I know there's a big word, anthropomorphizing. Well, she becomes the dog in parts of this book. And also, the dog has a important part in this book in solving the crime. So I'm almost finished with it, and I have to say that I wanted to compare it with Georgette Hayer's book Envious Casca, which I knew who the murderer was by the first or second chapter, and in this one I have a feeling, but I'm not 100% sure. In this one I was sure. And this one also fills a prompt of beautiful covers. So I love the 30s. I used to be very enamored with the 30s and watch all of the Fred Astaire movies, and I can do a whole video about that. But the clothes were so, elegant. At least the people that had money, they were elegant. Okay, so now we go into Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. She had a very interesting take on the Readathon, and that was a cafe in a library. We did have a cafe in our main library, but with a bookstore. It didn't do very well, but I think there are a few cafes and bookstores. So she's doing pairings. So we have a cafe and prompts, and then we have a book. So her first prompt is a warm drink. Like Catherine, I'm a tea drinker. I drink tea every morning since I was 19 years old. Hot tea, no sugar. And so for my hot drink, of course it's going to be tea, but I picked Deborah Levy's Hot Milk. Now, hot milk doesn't sound like a drink that I would actually drink, but it won the Man Booker Prize finalists. And it's been around booktube, and it's about a mother and daughter. And I'm not going to read anything about it, I'm just going to go by my memory and say that the mother has an illness, and the daughter, they both go to Mexico to find out the cause of her illness or cure her illness. But it's also about a mother-daughter relationship. So, I'm looking forward to reading a lot of Deborah Levy's that I picked up. And her second, it was Something Sweet. Now, I could have picked up a lot of things for Something Sweet, though I don't really like cozy mysteries that much. They have to have a little bite to them. But for this, I picked up a book that I showed last time, which is Dear Reader. And it also has a beautiful cover. And there was, I probably missed it, but there was a prompt for beautiful covers. And I love gold embossed with flowers. I don't know if you can see this, and I'll move it around. The reason I picked Dear Reader is because, not only because dear or reader, but Dear Reader together has a double meaning. Because in writing, when you say, oh, it's Dear Reader, that means the the person, the writer, is going out of the story and talking to the audience, which I don't particularly like, but some people do or don't mind. It depends on the book. They did that more like in Victorian novels. That was very popular. So this is a book, it says The Comfort and Joy of Books. And I'm going to get more into that very soon. But books have always given me comfort and joy ever since I was a young girl. So I'm looking forward to reading this. And did I say it's by, she has a long name, Cathy Rentzenbrink. And I'm looking forward to reading this in February. For the next prompt, it's try something new. So for March Mystery Madness, I picked up the Night Frost by R.D. Wingfield. And everybody who reads mysteries told me that this was a great mystery series. And after I bought the books, I realized, hey, I knew Frost on PBS. I didn't quite get into Frost on PBS, but maybe I'm going to like this book. However, when I first read the first small chapter, it says, the old lady's name was Mrs. Haynes, Mary Haynes, but no one had called her Mary for years, not since her husband died. She was 78 years old and she stood on the doorstep trembling with fear. I'm not, I'm not really liking how a 78-year-old woman is presented in this, that she's not called by her first name anymore. But, I'm not going to let it prejudice me. This is a very dark book. And I like dark mysteries sometimes. So let's see how I get along with Night Frost. Now, the last prompt of Catherine's is try something new. Okay, that was something new. But there was also something new. And I'm going to, please forgive me, but I'm going to go into my own memoir for this and talk about how libraries, what they meant to me. And just by chance, last night I was editing this part of my memoir. It's very short and it's about libraries, so please humor me. So it's about somebody who meant a lot to me. It's not about libraries per se. So I'll just go on, I'll start. But there was always books and Thompson. A year later, my passport to freedom was my library card and my destination of choice, the DeVoe Street Library, a long way from my Brooklyn apartment. How I loved that place. First of all, it was quiet. A big sign blared that rule. Since my home life defined mayhem, I found it astonishing that people were silent on purpose. The red brick building became my refuge. I loved the librarian, Mrs. Jones, with her tight bun and soft voice. I always practiced my question before I shyly approached her desk. And what was important, no vital, to my 6-year-old self were fairy tales. They occupied a whole wall in the corner of the children's section. And I spent my entire 2 hours planted there. The Brothers Grimm, Hans Christian Andersen allowed me to escape from a life I sensed was wrong. I didn't understand poverty, chaos, or abuse. I just knew reading fairy tales made everything better. And books make everything better. They still do. So I hope you enjoyed the coming attractions of what I'm reading in February and the Readathon, because I love libraries. And I would love to see everyone do this Readathon and talk about what libraries meant to them. So I'm going to end here for my first solo outing. How did it go? If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. I'd appreciate it so much. And please like and hit the notification bell, and you will get more baby boomer booktuber stuff. So until we meet again, my friends, Aloha.